from our Temecula studios. This is Ryder Report. I'm Ryder Bullock. What a statement win for Texas at the Maui Invitational. The Longhorns stormed past Division II Chaminade 119-78 in a dominant performance. Tremont Mark led the way with 19.6 rebounds and 6 assists, knocking down 4 3-pointers, while Dalen Swain added 18 points and 9 boards, connecting on 8 of 11 shots from the floor. Volcaletes was flawless in his efficiency, scoring 16 points on 7 of 7 shooting with 9 rebounds, and Jordan Pope contributed 15 points and 8 assists. Simon Wilcher chipped in 12 points, and Lasana Teroy pulled in 14 rebounds to complement his 9 points. Texas was sensational from the floor, shooting 66% overall and 46% from beyond the arc. The Longhorns dominated the boards 59-20 and controlled the paint 32-30, making it a one-sided affair. Chaminada's Nathan Medina had a career high with 30 points, including 8 of 13 from 3. While Nate Sasser III and Kent King each scored 13 points. Silver Swords did manage 33 points off 25 Texas turnovers. That's a stat the Longhorns will surely want to clean up after committing 44 giveaways in their last 2 games. Texas, now 5-2, will face number 23 North Carolina State in the 5th place game tomorrow, looking to rebound from their narrow 87-86 loss to Arizona State in the opening round. Once again, welcome to the Ryder Report. I'm Ryder Bullock, and we had ourselves a night of college basketball out in Las Vegas, out in Maui. I mean, you couldn't script half of this stuff, and people keep asking me, Ryder, it's November. Who cares? And I tell them, I care. And you should care too. Because these games right now, they tell you about toughness, coaching, depth, all the things that matter when we get to tournament time in March. So let's get to it. Tennessee taking on Houston. This was a grown man win. That's what this was. It was an outstanding, high-level stuff. You had number 17, Tennessee, undefeated, against number 3, Houston, who's been playing like the most disciplined team in the country. And Jacoby Gillespie, remember the name, 22 points, hits all 6 free throws in the final 35 seconds. That's not luck. That's not a kid getting hot. That's a closer. That's a guy who wants the ball when everyone else is looking for the exit. Tennessee wins at 76-73. Tremendous effort. Meanwhile, Houston, listen, you go 7 minutes and 24 seconds without a point, you're begging to lose. You're asking for trouble. They went nearly 8 minutes without a field goal. You can't do that against Rick Barnes and his squad. You just can't. Kingston Flemings, he was terrific, 25 points. Uzan, 17 points. Hometown kid misses the half-court heave at the buzzer, but it was a fun finish nonetheless. And Houston put themselves in a hole. Emmanuel Sharp, foul trouble, 8 points. That changes the whole thing. He's a 17-point-a-night guy. You play 21 minutes, you're sitting most of them on the bench, and you're not going to beat Tennessee that way. Plain and simple. Michigan taking on Auburn, and this wasn't a game. It was a message that Michigan looks legit. They absolutely buried Auburn, just ran them off the floor, 102-72. It could have been worse. Roddy Gale Jr., Lendenberg, 17 apiece. Burnett, Johnson Jr., Kaysen, double figures everywhere you look. They shot 51%. They hit 14 threes. They out-rebounded Auburn by 16. And here's the part that really jumps out. Auburn, 3 assists. Michigan, 19. That tells the whole story. That tells me one team's moving the ball. One team's playing one-on-one drive and hoop basketball. And remember, Auburn beat Michigan in the Sweet 16 last year. Michigan didn't forget. They punched him in the mouth right from the tip. 21-4 run, up 29 late in the first half. Game over. Michigan looks like a top 5 team today. Gonzaga taking on Maryland, and this was vintage Zags. Ruthless. Mark Few's team looks like Gonzaga again. They get it done, 100-61. Braden Huff, 20 points on 9 of 10. Couldn't miss. Emmanuel Incante, 5 threes off the bench. Steel Ventures, 4 more threes. This team can shoot from the parking lot. They put 100 on Maryland, and it didn't even look hard. Maryland, sloppy, 18 turnovers, out-rebounded, outshot, out-everything. They made 5 threes. Gonzaga made 14. The Zags had 30 assists. 30. That is NBA-level ball movement. This is what they do. They suffocate you early. You make a little run, they hit a 3 at the buzzer, which Ventures did, and then they blow you out in the second half. Maryland never threatened Gonzaga, plain and simple. St. John's taking on Baylor. It was a Rick Pitino special. St. John's 96, Baylor 81. And let me tell you, St. John's, they needed this. They needed it big time. You lose a heartbreaker to Iowa State. You come back second round, and you drop 96 on Baylor. Bryce Hopkins, sensational. 26 points. Sellers, 22. 5 threes, unstoppable. They shot 57% from the field. I mean, that's not hot. That's a team cooking with jet fuel. And Baylor, tough night, 37% from the floor, couldn't buy a shot. They dominated the offensive board, 17 in the first half, and still couldn't do anything with it. Pitino gets his guys to respond, and that's the headline. NC State taking on Boise State, Maui Invitational. A workman's win for NC State, 81-70, a solid bounce back. They lost to Seton Hall, came out today, and handled Boise State. Not flashy, but controlled. Dylan Andrews, 26 for Boise, couldn't miss from deep, but NC State took advantage of turnovers, hit their free throws, close like a veteran team. Lubin, double-double, big shots in the second half. They made their runs at the right time. This is a team that's going to be a problem in the ACC. They're not elite, but they're dangerous. USC taking on Seton Hall, and this was gutsy. Absolutely gutsy. USC gets it done 83-81. And if you want toughness, this was toughness. USC loses Rodney Rice, their best scorer, early second half, shoulder injury, momentum slipping, and instead of folding, they come back by Ezra Azura and Chad Baker Mazzara. Azura 25, Baker Mazzara 18, including a huge run when the game flipped. Those free throws late, cold-blooded. Seton Hall is good. They pressured the ball. They turned USC over. They hit big shots, but the Trojans matched them. USC and Arizona State in the championship. That's going to be terrific. Arizona State knocked off Washington State 100-94. Okay? And it was a track meet. And that's what Arizona State wanted. They got the win. Odom had 26 points, 5 threes, perfect from the line, had a monster second half. Bryce Ford, Johnson, Diop, all with huge moments. They shot 59%. That's insane. But the story of this game, Ace Glass, this freshman, 40 points, 40, 6 threes, 16 for 18 from the line, broke the school freshman scoring record for Washington State, and did it against pressure, against adjustments, against everything that Bobby Hurley and his Sun Devils threw at him. But Washington State lost, and Glass put himself on the national map. It's plain and simple. It was the game of the night. And I'm looking forward to tomorrow's championship match between the Sun Devils and the Cougars. We'll break it down for you on the Hardwood Report and then have post-game analysis at the end of the night on the Ryder Report. So, final thought on college basketball. If these early tournaments tell you anything, it's who's got heart, depth, and a coach who now knows how to adjust. Tennessee's tough as nails. Michigan looks like a powerhouse. Gonzaga's still Gonzaga. St. John's is dangerous when they get hot. USC's resilient. Arizona State's explosive. Ace Glass is a superstar in the making. These games matter. And in March, we're going to be looking back at these nights saying, yeah, that is when we knew that these teams were something special. From college basketball to college football. And the CFP rankings came out today, and we'll put those on the screen for you. There they are. Not much changing at the top. Ohio State, Indiana, Texas A&M, Georgia, and Texas Tech. All right there, no changes. Oregon jumps Ole Miss. Okay, and that's where the fun starts. Okay, and next week we know, right? It's rivalry week, and that's going to shake a lot of things up, and the committee's decisions are going to get interesting, if not messy. So here's how it shakes out: Oregon at 6, Ole Miss at 7. Okay, Oklahoma at 8, Notre Dame at 9, Alabama at 10, BYU sitting at 11. The only change in the top 10 this week is Oregon leapfrogging Ole Miss after the signature win over USC. And Hunter Yurchak, the committee chair, said exactly what we've all been thinking. Oregon finally got the win that puts them where they need to be, and you can't argue with that. Miami moves to 12, just ahead of Utah at 13, even though they beat Notre Dame head-to-head. The Canes remain 3 spots behind the Irish. The committee still see Notre Dame as a complete team, and they have been. They put 70 up on Syracuse Saturday, so they're complete. I'm not going to argue with that. And they're not budging, and they shouldn't. Vanderbilt stayed at 14, Michigan up to 15. Texas rounds out the top 16. USC 17, Virginia 18, Tennessee at 19, Arizona State 20, SMU, Pitt, Georgia Tech, Tulane, and Arizona fill out 21 through 25. Plenty of drama left. Now, this is where I think things get dicey, right? And that's rivalry week, okay? It starts on Friday. Ole Miss taking on Mississippi State. The Egg Bowl. Lane Kiffin's decision on whether he stays or goes could impact the committee's rankings of the Rebels. If he leaves before the playoffs, before the CFP, the committee could factor that in. I know that's weird, but it's in the rules, and we've seen it before. Alabama at Auburn, Iron Bowl, SEC championship implications. Texas A&M at Texas, Aggies win. SEC clinched, right? Michigan hosts Ohio State. Buckeyes win, and you're in. Michigan, if they beat Ohio State, they would need some help, but they could get in. Oregon plays Washington. If Oregon wins, Indiana loses, and Ohio State loses. It's Michigan and Oregon it's Oregon and Indiana in the Big Ten championship. Indiana's in no matter what happens. So Buckeyes can punch their ticket to the Big Ten title game with a win. And, rivalry week isn't just tradition. It's playoff destiny, right? And let's not forget Virginia hosting Virginia Tech. A win locks up the ACC title game for the Cavaliers. These games aren't just bragging rights. They could make or break playoff dreams. So you're asking yourself, who would be in the playoff right now? Well, we're going to put that on the screen for you, and there it is. So in the SEC, Alabama would be in, Georgia would be in, Oklahoma would be in, Ole Miss would be in, Texas A&M is in. Tide can clinch or crash, depending on the Iron Bowl outcome. Okay, they win. If Alabama wins the Iron Bowl, they are in the SEC championship game, and most likely going to be in the playoff, no matter what happens in the SEC title game, in my opinion. Okay. Then you got the Big Ten. Indiana's in no matter what. Indiana's already clinched a spot in the Big Ten title game, and there you go. Okay, Ohio State, Oregon. Oregon's win over USC boosts their chances, but they still need help to reach the Big Ten title game. We talked about that, and I'll just emphasize it again. Oregon plays Washington, and if Oregon beats Washington, and Indiana loses to Purdue, and Michigan beats Ohio State, it would be Indiana and Oregon in the Big Ten title game. Okay? So they need some help there. Big 12, Texas Tech, possibly BYU if they win and scenarios fall their way. Okay, Texas Tech is the lone Big 12 team in there. They're going to play, obviously, Saturday, but they've got possibly BYU lurking in the Big 12 collision. Arizona State still has a shot if the cards fall that way as well. ACC, Miami, okay, they're inching closer, but SMU and Virginia have better odds of clinching the title game. Notre Dame doing everything right. And then Tulane holding the top spot in the American. Solid margin wins against Duke and Northwestern. So bottom line is the SEC is dominant, right? 8 ranked teams. Big 10, ACC, Big 12, each with 5. Tulane, the lone group of 5 representative at 24. It's a stacked playoff chase. So if the playoffs started today, here's what you'd see. First round byes go to Ohio State, Indiana, Texas A&M, and Georgia. First round games on campus, December 19th and 20th. Tulane at Texas Tech, Miami at Oregon, Alabama at Ole Miss, Notre Dame at Oklahoma. Quarterfinals. The winners of those games meet the top 4 seeds. The Cotton Bowl, Orange Bowl, Rose Bowl, and Sugar Bowl, December 31st and January 1st. Semifinals, January 8th and 9th at the Fiesta and Peach Bowls. And then the national championship is January 19th at Hard Rock Stadium. It's a logistical nightmare for fans, but pure drama for the committee. And Miami's head-to-head win over Notre Dame could matter. But the committee looks at the full resume, not just one game. BYU and Texas Tech in the Big 12 could both squeeze in if outcomes line up. Tulane in the group of 5 holds their spot, but they need everything to fall in favor to make a run. So here's my take, right? Top 5 are solid. Ohio State, Indiana, A&M, Georgia, Texas Tech. Okay? They're all in. Okay? Oregon's in. Then Ole Miss is teetering. Okay? Alabama can't afford a misstep. Okay? Michigan is chasing miracles. And I let's go back to the top 25 here really quick. Michigan right here at 15. They are chasing miracles. So is Arizona State and BYU and others there. But rivalry week will reshape this playoff picture. No doubt about it. Buckle up. Ole Miss, A&M, Alabama, Michigan, Virginia, Miami. It's do or die. That's what makes college football fun. And of course, we'll have reaction from Friday night's affairs of Indiana and Purdue and the Egg Bowl and those games that matter. And then on Monday, we'll break down what happened in Ann Arbor and all of that. So it is going to be fun, no doubt about it. From football back to college basketball, here are the top 25 scores of the day. Number 12, Gonzaga taking on Maryland, and Gonzaga gets it done, 100-61. Huff with 20 points. Cal taking on number 18, UCLA. Cal with the upset, 80-72. Bell with 22 points, 6 rebounds. Number 17, Tennessee, knocking off number 3, Houston, 76-73. Gillespie with 22 points. Number 21, Auburn, taking on number 7, Michigan. Michigan remains undefeated, 6-0, 102-72 is the final. Number 11, Michigan State, taking on East Carolina. Sparty Nation gets their 6th win of the year and stays undefeated at 6-0. Michigan State wins it 89-56. Collier, 16 points, 8 rebounds. 14th, St. John's knocking off Baylor, 96-81. Hopkins with 26 points. Creighton fell short to 15th ranked Iowa State, 78-60. Jefferson, 18 points, 10 rebounds for the Cyclones. Number 16, North Carolina gets their 6th win of the year and stays undefeated against Bonaventure, who got their first loss in the Fort Myers Tip-Off Beach Division. Vesser, 24 points, 13 rebounds for the Tar Heels. NC State and Boise State, Southwest Maui Invitational. NC State improves to 5-1, 81-70. Boise State falls to 4-3. Kansas State taking on number 25, Indiana. How about this? Indiana 6-0. 5-0 at home. So they're undefeated in basketball. They're undefeated in football. All is right in the state of Indiana. Bailey dropping 21 points for the Hoosiers. They get it done against Willie the Wildcat. UNLV taking on Alabama. Roll Tide. 3-2 Alabama. Right now, number 8 in the nation, Holloway with 26 points. That's what's trending in sports. Here is tonight's final thought. Ladies and gentlemen, the 2026 World Cup is already shaping up to be one of the most intriguing tournaments in history. Next week's draw introduces a bold new approach. A tennis-style seeded bracket designed to reward the very best teams in the world. Spain, Argentina, France, and England, the top 4 in FIFA's latest rankings, will be placed in separate sections, meaning that if they top their round-robin groups, they won't meet until the semifinals. Think about that. Lionel Messi, leading defending champion Argentina, and Lamine Yamal with Spain could realistically avoid each other until a final showdown at MetLife Stadium. This is a departure from past tournaments where the path to the knockout rounds were largely determined by the luck of the group draw. FIFA calls it competitive balance, and it's hard to argue. It rewards consistency, performance, and yes, rankings that reflect the long grind of international football. And with 48 teams now in the mix, the first World Cup of that size, there's an added layer of strategy and drama. Host nations like the United States, Canada, and Mexico are top seeds, and venues include iconic NFL stadiums, promising an atmosphere unlike any the world has seen. Meanwhile, Italy, with 4 titles, could emerge as a dangerous lower-seeded wild card when the draw happens December 5th at the Kennedy Center in the presence of U.S. President Donald Trump. We'll see the full roadmap of groups and matchups. Europe's 16 teams are carefully distributed with only 2 allowed per group, and intercontinental rules ensure a global spread. So in short, this World Cup draw isn't just a formality, it's a statement. FIFA is trying to blend tradition with innovation, and soccer fans everywhere should be ready for drama, excitement, and a tournament that could very well deliver some unexpected fireworks. That'll do it for me on this Tuesday night. Till next time, Ryder Bullock reporting. Thank you for your time, and thank you for letting